Okay, it's all good. So,
Actually, Jasper, do you want to make?
Oh, yes.
so we are gonna start in a minute. All right, Jaspreet, I'm gonna do the little intro. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So everybody, welcome to the Topanga Town Council January 2026 meeting. It's our first meeting of the year, and we are starting off with bang. We're talking insurance, we're talking internships, then we're talking election 2026. Very exciting, lots of cover, so let's get started. We're going to start off with our first responders. I actually have the Sheriff's Department and the Fire Department at CHP who was unable to join us this month, but he sent us a report update, promised he'll be here next month on February 18th, and I will put that report in the February 1st newsletter that we send out encapsulating the meeting. So without further ado, let me get started on the Sheriff's Report.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm going to give you your crime stats for the month of December, as well as the total for the year 2025. And I also brought some crime stats from Calabasas, just so you guys can compare so for December 2025, we had two business burglaries and one burglary from a vehicle. The vehicle burglary happened at a hiking trail at Stunt and Saddle Peak. Window was smashed and $200 cash was taken from the center console. One business burglary was at the top of Topanga clubhouse. A group of Jewies entered, stole a fire hydrant, damaged the carpet, broke the ping pong table, and clogged the toilet. So teenager stuff. And then the other business burglary was on 106 South Topanga Canyon. Entry was made through the front window, and 2 display cases of jewelry and crystals and silver was taken. So I had 3 total Part 1 crimes for December. For the entire year 2025, you had a total of 43 Part 1 crimes, and that is exactly the same as 2024, so you had a 0% change. But you did have a minus 37% change from 2020. So just to compare that, I brought Calabasas statistics. I only had through November. So their month, they had a total of 20 Part 1 crimes and 248 total Part 1 crimes just through November. So you guys are doing very well. I know it's not apples to apples, but it's just something kind of compared to. And then that's all I have. And I'll take any questions anybody has.
Have any arrests been made for any of the incidents that you called out?
For the ones with the teenagers, I believe 2 of the teenagers were cited because they were underage, and a few more were identified, and they were sent over to our J team for further follow-up.
Actually, I have a question. I've kind of maybe alluded to before, and I don't want to get political, but I'm just curious in terms of, you know, like seeing whom you elect and how it makes a difference in the outcome of crime, like not just prevention, but crime prosecution. So, you know, sometimes I've been told that the sheriff, they won't bother anymore to arrest people because the DA won't. It's a very different DA. What are you seeing in terms of, you know, incentives for sheriffs to deputies to go after people or criminals? Is it making a difference in terms of?
So as far as like people being arrested and cases filed, I have definitely seen an increase in that. Talking to the detectives, they say yeah, most of their cases are not getting filed. So that's a good thing. Everything takes time, so we'll have to see if there's a ultimate trend down that slows down the stats. But you know, it's only been a year, so stuff moves at an inflation pace.
yeah, definitely. Okay, no, good. Well answered. Yeah. Okay, great. So any other questions, or are we ready to go on to, go ahead.
Any other staffing updates? I know in 2025 you were struggling with recruiting and staffing. You had an increase in that, or budgetary concerns or restrictions still?
So as far as the budget, I mean, that's beyond me, but as far as I know, we're getting enough money to staff positions we have. It's just getting people. We are getting more training deputies.
Right.
So our percentage is going up slightly at our station. So hopefully that trend continues, because those deputies do have to get off training and stuff like that. So if they don't pass, they get sent back to custody.
All All right, we're moving on to fire because we have to get to our candidate. But that was excellent. Thank you so much, Stephanie. All right, Drew.
Thank you. Well, happy 2026. So happy to be here. And I had the full disclosure. I did show up last month.
You did?
I did. It was on the calendar and I showed up. Yeah, great park, right? Confirmed, uh-huh. I did. I did. It was in my calendar and, anyway. A great party.
Did you get the report?
I did it. Everybody loved it. Yeah, funny. So, your fire department, your fire family's looking great. Fire Station 69, the troops over there are doing outstanding. We were busy through the winter, through all the rains, in the area, not just Topanga. And truthfully, we had a lot of significant calls. We had some significant winds. We had some major muddy reflow issues that we actually got really lucky on. So happy about that we didn't have significant amount of property damage, infrastructure damage with all the rains that we have had. And it looks like Mother Nature at this point in time has put a pause on that for the time being. With the December report, we had 0 fires. We had a total of 19 medical calls. We had 1 hazardous condition, 3 service calls. And I always talk to this. I love the good intent calls. I like when those numbers are high because that means people are paying attention and they're calling. And then we can evaluate what course of action we need to take. So I like our good intent calls for service. This is our training season as we do every year. So we're continuing with our training that we have. In fact, we're doing training this week and it's continually and never ends. We are very, as you know, lockstep with Lost Hill Sheriff Station on all risk emergencies, how we're going to perform. And it's not about fire and that preparedness, it's everything. Because we never know what we're going to go to next. So we train so we can be co-located. We could have a unified command component, how we're going to set things up, logistics, staging, you name it, is we do that continually. As we transition into the spring and summer, that leans more towards wildfire and preparedness for what we're going to do. And I know that we're looking at opportunities to do the evac drill, which I'm sure may come up. I know that we have done a lot of work with ESEP and the survival guide. So happy about that product. I can't wait till it gets out to the community. That's going to be very favorable for us, all of us. And then I'll throw it out there, the defensible space inspections will start in June for the area. And with that, any questions for your fire department?
Yeah, I had one.
Yes, sir.
Talking about people being trained by the fire department in order to use hydrants and hoses in the event of wildfire. Is that something that we should know about?
We are not doing that. So we have an organization, which is the LAEPF, Los Angeles Emergency Preparedness Foundation, which the Los Angeles County Fire Department has a contract with, which runs, as you know, which you have on here, the Community Brigade. So the Community Brigade is an extension of the Los Angeles County Fire Department. So they are trained to operate however we choose to use them in an operational area. But by no means are they to stay, hook the hydrants, defend homes, because it's Topanga. They are subject to being a emergency response component, how we want to utilize them.
You will direct them.
We do, like we did on the Broad Fire, the Franklin Fire, and the Palisades Fire.
Community fire brigade, right?
Not a fire brigade.
No, it's separate from that.
It's not, there is no such thing as a community fire brigade. Los Angeles County Fire Department, and we have a community brigade that's embedded
This is
in.
like Brent Woodward.
That's
like,
Brent. It's
okay.
not a fire brigade.
Okay.
So semantical, they're all risk.
Got it.
So we can use them for whatever component we would, and it's volunteer-based organization, so they're basically disaster service workers. And they have a process that they go through. If there's an emergency, they check in, and then we make sure that they have supervision and get them the right job within their scope of what they're able to do. So
Are they trained?
they are trained.
And what kind of training?
So they have basic engine operations, communications training. So the training we do with them is yes, because they have to integrate to the Los Angeles County Fire Department. But we are not going out and training homeowners to do hooking up to, I'll say it, our fire hydrant and putting trash cans around so we can't see it and they tie into their hydrant. We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Well, in the light of the new remain in place ideology, wouldn't it actually be helpful to get more people trained with this particular situation?
They're recruiting all the time.
Right. So for the community brigade, yes, because here's the thing with your community brigade. If we have a shelter in place, and I'll go through it again, as you know, in shelter in place, that means that there is not enough time for you to safely evacuate the area. Case in point, the Palisades fire. Topanga had 6 hours before it was going to get to the canyon. We made an evacuation order. Other places impacted from any fire that don't have that time frame to evacuate, your best, safest option is going to be at your home because you've done your home hardening, you've done your defensible space. What we don't want to have happen is you self-evacuate, put yourself on a road system where you can't see, you're impacted by smoke, and now you have no safety. The car may not do it.
So it's a proximity issue. If the fire is close, we haven't got a chance of evacuating.
That is correct, because as the fire moves at X amount of time, miles an hour, and for us to think about the 12,000 people in Topanga-ish, it is an unrealistic expectation if we have a fire that's going to impact Topanga within a half an hour that we can get out 12,000 people. So that's why this is nothing new. We have talked about this. This has been communicated, and I think it has a different set of measurable gravity behind it now. And so people want to be informed about that.
And I would add,
Yes,
from
Susan.
our Ag Emergency Management Task Force this morning, we reported that the survive the evacuation guide, which will address how these changes are taking place.
Correct.
In terms of the evacuation procedures, and everybody should be getting that in their mailbox from the county in the next week and a half. So
Yes, thank you. That is correct. So the new Topanga Survival Guide has all the evacuation components on best practice. So we are not wanting people to stay and defend their homes when they have an evacuation order for them to leave an adequate amount of time.
We'll just listen to you.
Well, you're going to listen to, you're going to listen to the right messaging and not get lured into some false information through social media. But we're going to train to this because we have trained to this for a lot of years.
We haven't been lured into false information. We have
People do.
We actually have a long history here of actually discussing staying with your house, buying a pumper, getting a generator, and actually putting out spot fires.
Mm-hmm.
Ancient history, huh?
Well, it can give you a significant false sense of security until, I'll say it again, now you're out of options and you could have been safe.
All right, so this is really.
I know, I'm sorry. You told me I was short. I'm sorry. Where do you want this to go, right here?
Selling, right. I'm very excited about.
Thank you. Great question. Thank you. I don't
The drill
know.
is gonna be, I believe sometime maybe in April, we're still looking that out for you to like say.
Well, I would just encourage, we're old timers. Remind our new timers, our neighbors that have just arrived to participate.
Well,
Yeah, we're gonna
we always do.
be very robust in communicating the message.
Yeah.
I know, and like Topanga said, there's 14 years.
It'll be a drill and it will be based upon the evacuation procedures that are in the guide that you're gonna be doing, so.
Correct.
It'll be a two-step thing there, getting into a drill, and it'll be all an accident plan for. Those have been done several times over the years since 2005. We got great for COVID.
Right.
We did it virtual.
Yeah, what?
We did.
Like 550 people are
We
not
did. We did. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you very much. All right,
It's gonna be,
thanks,
it's gonna be quick, you don't have to answer it, but just because.
I'll try.
Just, when I was watching a lot of the stuff from the 1 year of the fire, one of the comments that, like, I heard from a firefighter said that when they got to a neighborhood, like a lot of people had left their hoses running on the roof, and so, like, water was gone. Is that somewhere in the planning for the future, like somebody who would go around and turn off,
So that is a great question, and we have that component built in place, and that's one of the things when we're doing our surveys. But you have to remember, we get into life safety mode. We're there to fight fire, and then we get distracted from that task, and we have to take a life safety approach. And when that happens, one of those other components that we do is we do check the utilities. People leave their doors open, they leave their garages open, and we're doing all that to try to do the best fortification to their home, and some of the utility components is part of that when we can shut down that water supply. Good question.
Especially given what we have right now. Like, talk about, integrating more of the water department and the fire department and getting more water. It's such a pet peeve of mine, like our lack of water and the fact that we pay, for that type of water. But getting to be so that water isn't as scarce as it is, like, that's a huge limiting factor that we need to address. So, without promoting development. So we need to figure out a way to kind of thread that needle, or else we're kind of going to just fight our face when it comes to fighting fire. But it means, okay, so, Todd, you got 2 questions there.
Just want to get into that because it ties into the scarcity of water. There's been a lot in the news about using low frequency sound waves for defensible space or firefighting. As an LA fire department explored that option. It's been in the news.
I've literally never heard of this.
Yeah.
It's very high tech, very interesting.
I'll send you.
Love.
I'll send it to you.
Well, excellent. Sorry.
As
Thank
far
you.
as the water supply, a lot of the various. Obviously emerged in our very quick moving world. And I've gotten contacts from several vendors who are developing the mechanisms, which I know some of them have been talking to the fire department, to spray. They have these hookups to their water lines and stuff.
They're automated.
They're automated.
Yeah, they're systems.
It's on site.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I just want to remind anybody, and those existing now who may have generators, and there were a couple of incidences that we heard about that they were hooking up their fire hoses to fire lines. That's not allowed to water lines. And that for you to have the ability to fight a fire with that kind of equipment on your home, at your home, if it's an automated system or whatever, you need to provide and you need to get permits for a water tank, a water supply.
Yeah, he's supplied by them.
You have to supply by the water you purchase. So, just a reminder. And, this all has to be looked at under the process, safety procedures, and not, tapping into the public water supply. So,
We did not run out of water.
yeah.
Water was not bad water, but I will say, and I did say it before, we did not run out of water, but I had to shut down 69 Bravo because the water system and how many aircraft were coming in there with the 30,000 gallons. I had so many aircraft dipping out of that, the flow rate to fill those tanks, I had to hold them off a little bit so we could fill back up.
Yeah, flow is another factor in that. Very interesting. And again, a huge conversation today. Very important. So you guys raised that excellent point. Thank you. So I'm going to segue now. Maybe our next elected officials can help address some of these things. But we are in a big election year for Topanga. I mean, we're getting a new state senator, we're getting a new state assembly member, we're having election should most likely be a re-election situation. But we also have insurance commissioner, and there are other roles up for election. And one of them, we have a candidate from Topanga who has recently declared his candidacy, and he would like to introduce himself to the community. And this is for our state senator, District 24. And without further ado, I announce Zelen Ollier.
Awesome. Hey everybody, my name is Zenon, close,
Zenon
but it's a mouthful. My name is Zenon Ollier Crow. I'm a lifelong Topangan, born and raised here in the Canyon, and I am a candidate for our state senate. Just a little bit of background about myself. I got involved in advocacy actually in the 8th grade in Topanga, trying to make a safer route between Topanga Elementary and the library, because I used to get off the school bus every day. And I used to walk along that blind turn where cars were going 40, 50 miles an hour. I was taught at Justine's house the other day. She got severely injured on that corner. It could have been a kid there. And so I said, hey, we should do something about this. Why don't we like put up a guardrail or something, or maybe make it so the path's a little bit wider so kids don't get going to the library. And I hit a brick wall as an 8th grader. And that moment was a really radicalizing moment for me, because I think it goes to show a lot of problems that we face, that there's so many common sense things that we want to have happen, that need to happen. There are, maybe it's not the most perfect thing. Maybe we're not saying we're going to build a safe pathway that's going to go completely adjacent to the road, and so kids don't even have to walk on the side of the road. But we're putting up a guardrail, and there's still barriers to make that happen, pun intended. And so that really was a motivating experience for me that got me involved in activism and in politics. And so from there, I went to Pali High, got involved with Pali State Community Council. At UC Santa Cruz, I was appointed as the youngest commissioner in Santa Cruz history, worked on the Transportation Public Works Commission. I worked on a whole host of congressional, Senate, and presidential campaigns, trying to fight for our democracy in the federal government. And then also I founded an organization, a whole bunch on affordable student housing and tenant protections all across the state, and signed a lot of legislation that have made it easier for universities to build on-campus student housing. So after all that, came back to Topanga, and things keep getting worse. But in the sense that our politics are crazy right now. And I've always had this philosophy that I'm not allowed to complain about things unless I'm actively trying to fix them. So here I am running for state senate in this district, because this is my home, this is my community, this is my place, and I care about the cost of living crisis that's affecting Gen Z most acutely just because we're entering the workforce now, but is broadly affecting everybody, the rising utility rates, the rising housing costs. I also care about the environment as someone who's been evacuated because of wildfires. More times than I can count, it is the most pressing issue to make sure we can safeguard our community for future generations. And I also care about the entertainment industry and making sure we stop the exodus of the entertainment industry from Los Angeles. So I'll leave it there for now. Would love to take questions if we have time for that. So thank you guys so much for your time.
7 minutes time, but 1 or 2 questions for Zenon, and then we'll proceed to the break. Go ahead.
Yes.
Do you have money?
Yes, I am raising money.
Good.
I'm in the process, and
Okay.
we have a team. We have a legal firm. I've got a comms director. Yes, trust me. Oh my God, the lawyers. The compliance is a chore. But yeah, we're a real campaign with a real team. Although I did just launch 2 weeks ago, so I'll keep that grain of salt.
File paper.
Yep, file papers. I actually have, if anybody wants to sign my qualification papers, which for every signature I get over the minimum amount is 78 cents off of my filing fee.
Oh, wow.
So this is about at least $10 in this room right here. Okay. So if anybody would be willing to sign that, would go on. Yes, my website is up. I have a QR code, which I will pass this around in person for people. And
Viewable to us and
yes,
people on Zoom so that they can check out your website, see what you're about, donate. I'm assuming there's a campaign.
exactly. And actually, if you could type in the chat, it's Democrat.
What I would say, look at their website and take a look. Yeah.
And the
yeah.
website is zeninforsenate.com. Spelled ZENNON for Senate.com.
But I will say, this is a Topanga situation we do handle a little bit differently, but there is no promotion or endorsement, but just, we do want to make sure that our own people do get a seat at the table.
Exactly. And I really want to run to be a representative of this community I was born and raised in. So I want to hear from people. So we have contact forms. We have
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of those, I don't think I put obstacles up.
No, you connected me with the right people. You were a huge help.
My memory's still with me. This is a very small community in the big picture of how many votes the people you need to convince. One question, which is affecting not just Topangans, but all the residents that would be in your district that you would be representing. And that has to do with, which has especially become pertinent and terrifying since the recent, the Powell fires and the Eaton fires, is the whole insurance. And wondering, are you fleshing out a strategy on that? And would you be able to sort of give us an idea of what you're planning on doing to make that more fair and affordable for people?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. I mean, I think it goes right into cost of living, the rising costs of what it takes to live here. I mean, when we're talking about displacing people and people pushing people out of the community, making sure that insurance is affordable, but also making sure we're safeguarding our homes so that they don't burn down is extremely important. And I'll say, in terms of how I think about this issue, is that we have a lot better data that's now coming out because of the huge increase of wildfires across this country with the climate change and things like that, that's showing the ways that we build homes and the ways that we build our communities can prevent wildfires from burning down homes. And that science and that research, whether it comes to home hardening, whether it comes to defensible space so that firefighters can safely protect our homes and places that we go every day.
Would you be willing to advocate for creating a grass program for us?
Yes, 100%. Exactly, 100%. We already know the Cal Fire.
Son of Brian.
Yes, yes.
Yes. But I think, that's our next feature tonight. So in about 30 seconds, I'm going to cut you off. You'll get some really good ideas, and you've got some experts who are really top of their field in this and are cutting edge ideas. So listen up for that, and I think that can help inform some more specific details if their idea that you don't already have.
Definitely, exactly. And I think to your point about making insurance more affordable, I think there's a lot more that the state can be doing to say we have these proven technologies and research that show these reduce the likelihood that homes will burn down. Let's give you tax credits, or let's give you rebates on your insurance costs. Let's actually build into the ability for people's home insurance to actually be responsive to the improvements that they can make to make sure that people's homes don't burn down.
Hallelujah. Okay, beautiful segue. Great question, I have to say, to the next segue. Okay, so our focus tonight is on insurance, and we're going to be hearing from a broker who's going to give us an overview of what's happening in Topanga. Max Kramer. We're going to hear from the California Department of Insurance, who's going to tell us new stuff through the sustainable insurance. A material difference in our insurance availability and safety. And then we're going to hear from Senator Allen's office about legislation they're putting forth to make things better on the insurance front. And coincidentally, Senator Allen is also running for insurance commissioner this year. So he's very focused on the topic, very trained on it, and really wants to get stuff done. So he's not. Sophia is here for him. But he will be here at a future as it gets closer to the election. But very good. All right, without further ado, we're going to kick things off with Matt.
Sure. For those that do not know, my name is Max Kramer. I operate Kramer Insurance Services in the Canyon for many years. Here to speak about some of the challenges we've been faced with in the insurance market. I do want to start by saying I understand California is large. Some of the changes that we're going to hear today will help other areas, but I want to kind of focus on Topanga and speak to the community here, as well as others in similar wildfire scores. So what have we been up against? Realistically, I've narrowed it down to restricted coverages. How has this affected us? Home values, sales, people deciding to take less coverage or no coverage at all, people increasing their deductible to offset the raising costs, not protecting their main asset, which is their home for most people. And sadly, we've even seen some locals be priced out of paradise, essentially. So focusing on the no options, when I first started in Topanga, I ran an ad called "Get rid of your fair plan and get a great one." There were carriers here willing to do that. What I saw was after the fires in 2018, Woolsey and Campton and a couple, we started to see a shift. People began to be non-renewed, dropped for underwriting requirements, seeing 2x, 3x, 4x their costs. So today, we kind of know we're left with California Fair Plan and a difference in conditions policy, or what some people call a wraparound. There are some options on the non-admitted side. I got a quote last week for a house on Morningview, and it was $52,000. So not an option, in my opinion. I use that to kind of show people, hey, here's why you're with Fair Plan.
No, I hate to ask, but on the 52,000, how much coverage did that provide?
Well, I try to say it in combined. We got to understand it that way. I think that was about $5 million in combined coverage.
Okay.
But again, that's not just structure. That's personal property, fair rental value, all those things that add up. With that being said, high value homes have almost no option. As we know, Fair Plan's cap is $3 million. You can get supplements on top of that, again, subject to high costs. Leading into high costs, some people in the canyon know they saw those unreasonable rates year after year. Example, I have a client in Saddle Peak, 2020, paying $3,800 a year. In 2025, when he renewed, it was $10,057. On average, that's about a 21.5% increase. It wasn't every year the same. We saw jumps in different years. Rising costs of construction is now also something we're realizing after the last fire. It's the first time in my career I'm seeing lenders require me to cover homes for more than they are being bought for. An example would be traditionally $1 million, you insure the structure for $800. Because of construction costs and lenders requiring replacement cost value, I'm being asked to insure a home for 1.2, and it's obviously at high rates, so we're getting hurt there as well. Now to go to restricted coverage. I'm currently seeing a lot of DIC carriers start to pull back coverages on what they offer, like limiting water damage totals, ensuring roof for fire and lightning only, when we know that's excluded from the policy already, and also only allowing actual cash value valuations, which is depreciated value. The list goes on. Some carriers, my hands are tied where they're saying, we won't write your auto unless we have your home, but we're not doing a new home in California. Or we won't write your auto unless we write your home, but we don't write home in your area. So then I want to look at some things that have been done thus far to try to help this. There have been some programs that were rolled out to help this market in communities like ours, but sadly, I think they haven't made the difference we had hoped. Community discount. Carrie, along with others, kind of took over the work of Beth, and we were able to get to pay. This is very helpful. It did help individuals save percentage off their rates, yet it was also in a year where we saw about a 15% increase. So the savings sadly weren't really felt on the consumer side. New mapping. We're told we have all these new technologies and we are turning away from historical burns into AI catastrophic modeling. And realistically, we know where we are. We're in a high wildfire area. Those changes weren't significant enough to open the market to anybody else. And actually, in some cases, like our preschool here in town, got them dropped by their carrier after that change. Then we move to home hardening. Home hardening for structures and surroundings. Yes, these are helpful. It's proven, there's numbers and all of that. But if we're talking about as a tool to make insurance affordable again and have carriers move into the market, it has not done that. We've been pitched by the California Department of Insurance. This is a way to incentivize individuals to harden their home, but have one enclose their eaves or upgrade a multi-pane window to save a couple percentage. It's just not that enticing. For those that did meet the requirement, yes, I want to take the small victories where we can. That was helpful. It did help their rates. Yet at renewal, they saw that disappear. And again, California Fair Plan states, I put a document on everyone's desk here, you have to meet all those items or you meet none of them. So if you have everything but enclosed eaves, you do not meet the structure. If you have everything but improper clearance, you don't meet the surroundings. So it's not as taken advantage of as you would think. Lastly, I want to talk about some things I'm looking forward to in the future that people are saying. It seems to be the same thing over and over again. Let's modernize how the state reviews insurance rates using tools to predict wildfire risk. Again, we've done that. Speed up timelines on rate decisions. I understand that Prop 103 was that hurdle they were trying to overcome. Protect customers. They say we're going to justify rate increases. Isn't that what Prop 103 was originally trying to do? Reform FAIR Plan. Some have called damage liability to get rid of the need for DIC. But again, I go back to the combined coverage. If you're adding 500,000 for liability, that's going to reduce your overall coverage. Last time FAIR Plan was increased, I think it was approved in 2019 to 3 million. We've heard talks about 5, yet no actual understanding when that would come into play. As a chamber board member, I do feel obligated to say it's not just individuals, there are other businesses in our canyon that are affected by this as well. I'm just taking the time today to address the findings of coverage, not dealing with them as we did with our claims. Since Ben Allen's office is here, I understand he recently introduced SB 894, which I believe provides low interest loans for homeowners to retrofit and protect them. My question is this actually going to guarantee these carriers will come back if these items are done? It seems like we continue to pass the buck to the individuals, hoping the insurance are end of the, knowing they haven't in recent years. To the California Department of Insurance, what is the timeline on the sustainable insurance strategy? As we've been doing these things for many years, especially in Topanga with FireWise, Fire Safe Council, Topanga Emergency Task Force, Ready Fest. Our fire department goes door to door and looks at brush clearance. We have a Bravo.
Yeah. We have Arson Watch. We have all of the stuff. And then
Bravo 69, another utility we have that may not be taken into consideration. Ultimately, I just want to make clear my purpose is to help the situation, my community, the state I come from. Please feel free to use me as a resource. I'll be more than happy to provide insight as a broker, as an agent dealing with all these issues we were able to be discussing today.
Oh my God, that's perfect 10 minutes. All right, bravo, okay, love it. I want to quickly say, the interesting thing, not just as a plug for FireWise, but also as a practical assistance matter. For the discount with Fair Plan, at least according to what I've heard most recently, now you may have heard something different, but Phil said this and Fair Plan, my folks have directly said that even if you are boxed out of the individual level discount because you don't meet all or nothing, you still, because Topanga is FireWise, you still qualify for the community level discount, which you can realize it's between 5 and 10%. You max out at 16, I think, or 16.5% if you get both the individual and the community level. But even if you don't get the individual level, you still are eligible for the community level because we're a FireWise community. So don't be sure if you get turned down on the individual, say, well, I want the community level discount. I want the maximum community level discount. Yeah. So just say that because that is what you're supposed to get. Don't let them push you around. Give them my email.
That community level has to be reviewed every year.
Every year. So that's why we, some people said this year when I pestered them to submit their data, and I'm like, I said last year. I'm like, but we have to every year. So when you get that email from me or you see in the newsletter, submit your FireWise hours. Please do it because when you do it, we actually get to a pretty high threshold. It's not that high. We cleared it easily this year, but if nobody submits, we don't get it. So I need everyone to submit. And when you submit your hours, this includes your brush clearance, home hardening, roof replacement, shutter, shingle, window, all that. Put in whatever you did this year, dollar value and or hours spent, and then all goes into the FireWise community level discount pot. If we meet the threshold, we get the discount. We've gotten it for the past 5 years. I'm confident we'll continue to get it. I'll make sure we get it, but please, all information. And that link is on the bottom of every agenda that I send out for these meetings. It's also on topanga.com, our website, at the top of the page, bottom center. All right, so questions for Matt?
Did everything she said make sense and the truth?
Yes, in regards to the it's 16. Okay.
I mean, that adding on.
Well, it's also a bit deceiving because you're given these percentages, but they only apply to. That's why that form on the table you'll see it's 16.4%.
Yeah.
Because they say numbers like 20, but it doesn't apply to every.
to a possible maximum potential flood.
No, I wasn't questioning your veracity, I just wanted to make sure that it was.
Yeah, I am seeing that on a,
Yeah.
when I go in
But
there and
you
make the.
have to do the
Important.
And so, you're my broker, are we doing this?
Yes,
Okay.
if you're my client, you've already have that.
He knows that.
And it goes year to year as well.
And it goes back?
It goes year to year. It's not like,
Okay, good.
Okay, any other questions? Yeah, please.
What do you think the state could do differently?
What, oh,
that's a much longer conversation than 10 minutes, but I would love to chat with you. A few things that I've been working on.
I would guess that to say that it depends on if you're like a free market person or maybe a more sort of social. There's one group that I kind of like. It's my sort of more activist side. It's the consumer watchdog group. So take a look at some of what they're doing, and they're proposing like a consumer bill of rights. So essentially, that if you do the home hardening, you're guaranteed insurance. I would like to do that. Well, really, and how whether or not you can compel private insurers to do that, probably not. However, you could put something in where you're like, well, you're not going to provide home insurance and you're not allowed to provide auto insurance in the state. You could start to play hardball. So I would start to recommend things like that if it doesn't sort itself out.
I think that's what they realized by trying to play hardball recently. They didn't have enough leg to stand on.
There are a lot of tricks. So yeah, I mean, but we'll hear also from the, yeah, sure.
This is probably beyond your normal political, I mean, is there an effort being made to not build? I feel like.
I'll touch on
Yeah,
that because we are,
Karen Allen's office has.
yes, we are looking into that exact legislation. But I'll touch on it. I don't wanna-
And again,
Yeah.
and that's kind of why I brought that up, because my concern is if we go through these troubles to make sure we are building communities that can be approved,
Yeah,
but also hardening the communities that aren't approved, what kind of actual conversation with the insurance companies do we have that say they will right there?
no, I hear, yeah.
Right, what do we need to do? And
Yeah.
we were on, well, next I'll talk to you about it.
Yep.
Excellent. All right, so I guess with that, we will then move on to, absolutely got it. We'll move on to, let me get. Okay, we're gonna segue into our next presenter. That's from the California Department of Insurance. And that is Brenda Kaloka. Here you go, Brenda. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Thank you for having me here today. And thank you for your time and commitment. I love the conversation I'm hearing, the proactiveness. I commend you guys for that. Because I know you could have been, it's the evening. Could have been doing anything else. Trust me, that traffic was crazy. So I feel you. And you're rightfully supposed to feel how you feel. And I hope that I can bring some light and hopefully some hope and what we have. Now, I don't know if you want to cue up the presentation to the first. I think first of all is acknowledging that in 30 years, there was no change. And it's kind of what got us to where we're at now, right? And I hope that was already kind of talked about, but essentially we were losing availability, right? And so what was introduced by the commissioner in a few collaborations with the office of the governor's office and Cal OES, right, was the partnership brought out the safer from wildfires, but the introduction of the sustainable insurance strategy is what came, right? The goal was to modernize it, make it accessible, make it resilient, and protect consumers. As you note, the focus was not affordability. Why is that? We all know, right? Basic business, if you don't have availability, right? So we have to get the market to be competitive in order to transition it to affordability and tackle that. And obviously, it's going to take phases. I know we want to see results. I know we've seen it, but it takes time, and I'll show you how. Now, safer from wildfire work, I'm not going to go right into the details of it because you guys already know 3 levels of protection. You are already aware that, we go to the next slide, that it's the structure, immediate surroundings, and this video, which is not playing because it was downloaded, I will assume.
Yeah, this is turned into a PDF. But we know about the home hardening and defense.
Okay.
And the Zone Zero.
So I'm going to skip through all that, but understanding the importance of it, the Zone Zero is legislation. Like that was passed before the commissioner. So that was passed back in 2021. Okay. That was in Assembly Bill 3074. So that legislation has not come into effect yet. So we're in 2025. It's been 4 years. Now, it's in the hands of the state to draw those guidelines are. I know they're getting closer, but we're not there yet, right?
Do they have more hearings?
I don't know, I have
Yeah,
lost track
they
on
are,
the hearing.
They will be finalizing their, final rule, please, to final regulation. About March is what their estimate is. They were granted an extension, and they were supposed to have done it by December, but they just asked for an extension, were granted it due to just a lot of, there's a lot of intricacies specifically around
Yeah.
vegetation and
Right.
stuff, so they decided to not just rush through a regulation, which is a good idea to, develop something that I think, one, is implementable, and two, everyone can.
The complaint I heard a lot was that it was too one size fits all. It didn't take individual community and ecosystem types into account sufficiently. So, but here's
So that's, so leading to that point, coming up with legislation, implementing frameworks, that takes time, right? And that's the point. But more than anything is to focus that this is something that we do have to take seriously. It's something that it is in front of us, and whether or not we should start taking the steps, not waiting for the implementation to come in.
insurance stuff, the zone 0 to insurance. One of the things our insurers say, committed, if zone 0 is passed and implemented pretty rigidly, we'll give you insurance. Are they making that commitment?
So, yes, so that's right. Okay, so let me go into the catastrophe model. We already know what that is, right? We know that you can ask for your risk score. Everyone's aware of that. Yes, okay, perfect. So right now, since the passing of the models, once they were vetted, and now we've gone to where it's been approved, now it's open for companies to file their rate filings to become. Now, the caveat for them to be able to use this risk model, the catastrophe model, they have to commit to underwriting 85% of their market share into high to very high areas that are higher risk. That is a requirement.
So this is going to be a regulatory thing?
This is implemented.
Or is it something that's directly, you fulfill this, it's policy that's come from?
It's kind of
Yeah.
a pro quo.
Policy,
It is a policy that
the public insurance.
it's where it's an agreement that where the commissioner had that authority to build out, and now they have to come into consensus to meeting that, because now if they don't, so pretty much if you don't meet this, you don't get this.
So they can use their rate model if they're
As long
willing
as.
to then write the 85% of policies in these high risk areas. But on that, let me ask this, Brenda, just because I don't want to overpromise and then
Yeah.
have people say it's not materializing. So one of the kind of caveats I heard to that 85% requirement was that Laura got pushback from the insurers, and then he said, okay, we're not going to make it mandatory 85%. We're going to make you do 2 percentage points of that each year.
Incrementally.
Yeah, so basically, it's not 85% all at once. It's like at the end of 37 years, okay, we'll be covered.
I don't know the exact time frame,
It's a long
but it
time.
is. But it is. Because another thing we don't want to do is we have to understand that insurance companies, they have to be insured as well. There's a reinsurance cost that they're paying. So it's like me expecting you to pay for all, but you only count. So it's the same thing, right? We're all in this together. We're trying to work together to entice them to come back into the market. And that's essentially the goal is we need to work together. And yes, it's going to be frustrating because we're not going to see it come right now, right? Just to highlight, right now we have 6 companies that have committed to underwriting and coming back into the market. But we only have 2 that have already been approved. So it does take time. It does take vetting, but what's going to be very crucial and very important is going to be that you are actively notifying us and letting us know what's happening down here. So I heard a lot of what, Max here was experiencing. And the question I have is, have you submitted a complaint to our department?
Oh, yeah.
you know, of every,
Have all their business cards, yeah.
but, and so I'm gonna go check now. I'm gonna tell Carrie. So you need to let them know. So, and this is why it's so important. And I know it's tedious and but you haven't paid. But what I have to say, it's so important because it's the only way we can document and track what it is. Change does not happen overnight. We have to have okay, is it an isolated incident or is it an issue? And I know, but you have to have data to back up what we're doing and how we're working. Because you have to understand, the commission does not have the power to create necessarily the legislation to enforce, right? Who has that power? Our legislators. So in order for him to work with legislators to help push, he needs to show, hey, this is what's going on, right?
Fair point, very good point.
Well,
Thank you.
again, speaking to that information, do we have actual information in terms of scores that's gonna be that 85%? Because we're all aware if an insurance company has the option of writing, slowly a higher percentage every year, that's not gonna affect us here in the county. They're gonna take outskirts and smaller areas considered high wildfire. So what does that mean?
Well, their first priority are going to be people that are currently in the fair park.
Which is people.
Yeah. So what I would encourage you to do is, especially if you're experiencing being dropped from any of the companies, definitely submit that because that is the only way we can help keep them accountable. Because if we're noticing a trend that now you're dropping people so that you can read, then that's right. Then that's not helping. And now that can be an issue that can be addressed. The small claims is such a good example in terms of how that's being addressed, right? We realize, hey, it's being voiced. There's a lot of complaints coming in that this is an issue. So a task force was designed for this. And there's also a new proposed legislation to help with getting more and faster for consumers, right? That's been the whole priority, but we have to understand we have to look at it all encompassing, right? And believe me, his first priority is consumers. I'm going to go ahead and I want to make sure to emphasize the importance of getting there as much as you can. Obviously, working as a community is going to help elevate when it comes to the legislation that was just approved. We can go to the next one. The legislation that was just approved, of course, one of the biggest ones is the Business Insurance Protection Act. As you know, the moratorium after it's imposed by the state of Hawaii governor, it did not include businesses or nonprofits or HOAs, and now it does. Now the other SB 495, it eliminates the act list. Now you guys are aware of all this?
No, a lot of people aren't aware.
Okay, so I was trying to rush, but not. So essentially you were eligible to receive 30% of your content coverage. However, that was hard. We were trying to go for 100%, but 60% is what went through.
Just cover that.
All right, so she can cover that.
Yeah.
Let me go over to now the California Safe Home Act.
Yeah.
AB888. So this is a tax-free hardening grant, and that again is to create, the purpose obviously is to improve insurability and resilience to vulnerable communities such as yourself, right, through home hardening. And I think one of the biggest things to keep in mind is home hardening isn't just for the rate. And yes, it's to help insure you, but ultimately, really, it's to protect your home. It's to avoid your home getting caught on fire. And I think if we keep that in front of us, that will motivate us, right? It's protecting our home because it's the embers that ignite, right? Essentially the home. So that's primarily the focus and the essence of that. So going on to the priority.
The Safe Homes Act is
It's a grant.
That's going to
tax-free. No.
Finally, but I think in the spring, the criteria are going to be put together. But essentially,
Correct.
It's restricted to very high, and risk severity. The grants, I believe, are up to $40,000.
They're figuring out, so all that.
It's real money,
They're also based on.
and you have to be low to
So
moderate.
this is the eligibility here.
Low to moderate.
Well, it depends on the Department of Housing and Community Development, and that's how it's written.
Make it relative because a lot of people in Topanga, given the cost of living, are struggling to make it. So there has to be, I would say, different
Right.
thresholds. I would encourage you to put different thresholds for different areas depending on the cost of living in that area.
And so we're basing on what's written in the legislation, and that's what we're basing on what they can and cannot do.
Potential latitude built into the legislation. I haven't looked at this particular nitty gritty. If you can build it in, be a little more flexible, because technically.
Yeah, they're pretty precise. This is exactly, income is no higher than the low income limit designated by the Department of Housing and Community Development. It's pretty high.
It's pretty high in Montana.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
At least it's countywide, not statewide, because it's fairer.
Yeah.
So it is going to be prioritized based on zip code, right? You have to be in a high, very high, obviously, as is shown on our Department of Forestry and Fire Protection. And in addition to that, there has to be, they're going to prioritize projects that are mitigating. So the funds are supposed to be used for mitigation purposes.
Yeah.
Applications, the best way to get in the know when this comes out and finally rolls out is by signing up onto our consumer alert. So I encourage you all to do that, and that'll be on one of the last slides, so you can go ahead and scan that. In terms of the California Fair Plan, I think you guys all know what primarily it does and its focus and its function. I think the only thing is to note is that with the course of construction policies, they typically are only for 1 year, and that's what they are. A cancellation after the year has been completed. That is the protocol. However, if for any reason that you may have, contractors, things happen, it's important that your broker submits an appeal so that it can be addressed, and you can, most often than not, you get the coverage extended. But this is during construction that has this with the fair plan.
Like to see anybody have a house built in a year. I mean, some people might be able to do it, but that would be kind of rare. But yeah, so what if your appeal fails? Then what? Then what's the next level?
Submit a request of assistance from our office.
Okay.
So then, and of course, you guys are aware of the 16% discount. And if you live in LA County, of course, that applies to the community. And she already touched on it, so we'll continue on to the next slide. This is the slide that I was talking about where it's SB 876. Senator Steve Padilla, I believe, is proposing this bill, and really what it's essentially going to do is provide added protections after a declared emergency. So after a major disaster, it's intended to do is to require insurers to have a disaster recovery plan. So that means handling claims and meeting those timelines that they're committing to. They're essentially going to be giving them double penalty for any unfair claims or practices that they're handling. It will mandate insurers to pay direct restitution to policyholders for any violation of the law. It will then also require them to provide the consumer or the policyholder 5 days status update every time it's handed over to a new adjuster. So a lot of the issues where we're not getting answers, they've been at a new adjuster. So this legislation would help expand the additional living expense. As I mentioned was previously, it's only at a 60%. Currently right now, if your house were to burn without a disaster, now with this, under this Reform Act, it would expand it to be 100% of its policy limit. It would also expand the upfront payments to the actual cash value and the structural replacement. And it would, if they delay in doing so and they don't do it within the appropriate time frame, they will be required to pay it with interest to the policy holder. I will double check that this is within that.
Okay, because my daughter started insurance and she didn't go down. She watched everything. And because of the area and fires, you cannot find an insurance company to do it.
Oh, you can submit that to our department. To this.
This one would just be for residential property insurance, so just for residential property
Oh,
insurance,
this
not for rental.
Okay, but rental insurance then is a separate thing.
But still covered by, yeah. Submit a complaint, submit it. Yeah.
And you know what? I always encourage consumers to submit a complaint.
She really.
I know it's heated, but I'm gonna tell you, I've been out here with a lot of the community members. And sometimes I will hear, I've been to a few places where they go, oh my gosh, I called your department, they were amazing. And I received a cancellation. And after I called you, I received a call from the insurance company reinstating me. And I said, oh, that's great to hear. We don't have that power. But a few companies are, right? They're like, wait, the insurance company is looking, they're putting their nose here. No, you know what? It's okay. Right? So it doesn't hurt. It doesn't guarantee you, but it doesn't hurt.
Great pending right now. You can hold over their
Right.
before you approve the rate.
Also, if you are filing a complaint, reach out to our office and we can help you file the complaint. We
Okay,
can
great.
also, we'll get information and we can track the complaint alongside CDI. And we track all of those complaints so that we can also use it to inform.
So go directly to
Possible-
you or
Yeah,
do I go to
Yeah, directly to
Sam
me.
or-
Yeah, just go directly to me.
Okay.
Okay, we need your, by the way, can you guys put your email, you want to put it in the chat for people on Zoom?
Yes.
You're doing great, Brenda, so yeah, just, we are running a little, like,
Okay. We're wrapping up, so don't worry. And it also is going to make sure that there is a mandatory replacement cost option to the policyholder. So it will require coverage's updated replacement cost and estimates for new policies and renewals. So they have to provide that every time you're renewing too. That needs to be an option. And then safer for rebuilding standards are also being stipulated within this reform. It would apply mandatory building code upgrade coverages to rebuild, and also time that the property or the house was at a loss, but really at the time of rebuilding. So making sure that they're paying for the compliant building codes that are being upgraded. So this is what essentially this bill proposed is being presented as. There's definitely an opportunity to help support this bill. And there is a QR code here where you can sign up, and we can send you a draft letter that we have where you can submit your support. There is that other link as well if you need it. And essentially, this is the QR code for our consumer alerts. And this is where you will be notified once our Safe Homes grant comes out. So this is where you want to go ahead and get that.
I'm going to take a short from that. It's not like push it out. Is there? Yeah, an actual email. Some people don't have smartphones.
Or the QR code.
Well, so it's,
Yeah.
the one I sent
Put
my-
that in the newsletter and then we-
Yes,
One Topanga.
exactly, we absolutely. They're- You know, give you a culture. Just send me whatever you can after, and I'll have your PDF and anything else you think, send me, I'll put it in the
I'll send you all the links
Yeah.
that we have. That are like the home inventory guide and all the other guides.
That would be really fun. Okay, so are you almost there? Do you want questions?
No, that's it.
Okay, do we have any questions for Brenda? And keep in mind, we then have Sophia and then her as well.
Why I called about my pet insurance just quickly.
I think CDI does depend.
Yeah, we do.
Oh,
We do. We do.
I did file to about my pet insurance as well, as a personal.
Three times up.
Yeah, it's a big issue, yeah.
A cat turned 15 and suddenly it's.
Okay, so if that, you know what, we're gonna have questions at the end, so for now, let's get to Sophia so she can cover her stuff and then.
Sure. So why don't I start with the eliminate the link tab, which is what was passed last year and when it starts this year. So this was legislation both sponsored by. Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. My name is Sophia Liebman. I'm with Senator Allen's office. My portfolio covers all things Palisades fire recovery, along with insurance. So probably why I'm here. Very relevant. So last year, sponsored by CDI, Senator Allen authored Senate Bill 495, which as of 2026, in the event of a declared disaster, insurance companies will be required to pay 60% of the personal property, your contents coverage limits, with a cap that's like $350,000 to policyholders who experience a total loss, without requiring the policyholders to submit a detailed inventory for at least 100 days.
Oh, just still have.
Can I ask a question?
For, also to get your full you'll still have to submit it, but you'll get an upfront payment. And so it'll lose it.
Yeah, I know.
It's so hard, it's hard to just even think about it, and you're trying to wrap your head around finding a place to live. And so it just gives some time to, when you get that upfront payment, so you can start to figure out what to do next.
Do we make it the responsibility of the insurance companies to give us the protocols and the exact requirements in terms of how you list your?
So that full payment later after.
Yeah, that'd be good because your office has a general list of inventory, but our insurers are all gonna have individual. The time for us to do the paperwork is now. We have a house, it's standing. We could prepare all this.
Yes, no,
It should be part of their
Policy when you write your policy.
Yes.
yeah, no, I definitely hear you. And I think, we can look into that. But I do recommend everyone in your home start compiling that list, and now it'll, it's just it's good practice to do anyway. Okay. So speaking of proposed legislation, I will say we have not finalized our bill package this year. We have until February 20th to introduce legislation. So we're still in the research and we're still meeting with community members. So Vax, let's talk. We're open to ideas. We're looking at a lot of insurance related ideas. So I'm going to talk about some bills that have been fully introduced. So they have a bill number. These are bills that we are either supporting or co-authoring, and then I'll talk about our own bills. So the first one is AB 1559 by Calderon.
1559,
Yeah.
1559.
Yep. So this did not pass last year, but was reintroduced this year. It would require insurers to notify policyholders if they take aerial photos of the property and allow policyholders to obtain those photos and request an in-person the photos for a non-renewal or cancellation. Okay. So that's one that we're supporting. These are all like consumer protection, right?
They've been happening.
And transparency. And transparency.
And
And I think this is relevant, particularly to Topanga, where I'm sure they use a lot of aerial and drone.
Yeah, they use it because they say, I can't see your roof.
Exactly, yeah. Another one is SB 354. This was a 2-year bill, so this is in its second year. This would enact the Insurance Consumer Privacy Protection Act, which would establish new standards for collection, processing, retaining, or sharing consumers' personal information by insurance. SB 354. And I will send this list to Carrie so she can send it out. Yes. Yeah.
So all this information to third-party service providers. The bill would authorize the processing of a consumer's personal information, including the insurance transaction. So it's a privacy bill. And it would require a licensee to provide a clear privacy notice that contains specific information to the consumer, at specific times. So that's one bill that we are supportive of. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. From CDI. Brenda. Sorry. I'm so sorry, Brenda. Brenda already talked about SB 876. I'm going to talk about two other bills that are sponsored by CDI that we are co-authoring. So that's SB 877, which would require an insurer in the event of a total loss or a covered loss under a policy to provide the insured individual a version of all of the claims related documents within 15 calendar days. So that means you have to get all those. I would include the full name, title of every person who made, ordered, reviewed, or approved a change to your claim and give a detailed explanation of why that change was made. So another transparency bill and consumer protection bill. Another one that we're co-authoring is SB 878. And this bill would codify specific provisions and regulations. Basically, if I'm trying to translate it from the legislation to a more to English sometimes it gets it would require that insurers provide a prompt payment compliance report to CDI quarterly so that they know that people are paying, that they're paying their claims. There's a clear data on their claims payment. And it would expand, it would require the department to compile that information and publish a report on its website detailing each insurer's prompt payment compliance data. So, like they said, they have to start paying quicker. And this is the data that they would publish on their website to show, okay, which insurers are doing a good job in paying people's claims promptly and which ones maybe are falling behind. So the insurers would have to provide that data and CDI would have to publish that data. So those are bills that have just been introduced. I would expect there will be lots of changes to those bills throughout the process. These are, right, a lot of this is just intent language. So I am happy to keep coming back and talking about these bills, and I'll talk about the senator's bills in a second, and provide that for you guys. So you can also give opportunities if you want to write letters of support or opposition or provide feedback to our office or things like that. Okay. So right now our office has only introduced one bill that is related to, related to insurance. And I know Max had a question about it, like if this will really, this is just one tool. So I think that's the first piece. This is one tool. This is SB 894, which would provide state-backed low-interest loans to homeowners to retrofit their home and better protect them from wildfire, so home hardening. So this bill is modeled after a already successful established Go Green energy finance platform that's through the Treasury Department. And I highly recommend, I'll send them so you can check it out. It basically is a very user-friendly platform that gives different green energy projects. So you can learn about those different energy projects and then see low interest financing options in your neighborhood or in your zip code. And those loans are low interest because they're backed by the state. So
would they be prioritized or only for low income or moderate income? What about that kind of criteria?
this is geared towards moderate income, because it is a loan.
Right.
So it's different than a grant. Now they would range. It would range. So part of what we're
Like an SBA loan.
Like the federal funds rates?
I would recommend that you look kind of how we're planning to model this off this Go Green Energy, because you'll see a bunch of different private options for financing that range in rates too, with different models in them.
Would this be a good time? I just want to really insert at this part of the conversation that I made notes earlier and I made a note again. My question I keep having the same question. I know it was at the federal level. I think maybe the state did some too for a while, but there were big rebate programs, tax rebate programs, that didn't involve loans. I mean,
Yeah.
you took out a loan to get the thing, and then you got a rebate on your solar, for like 25% of the cost to put in that solar system, which some people like me could use for 4 years, towards my federal
Rebates do sound more appealing than loans.
Yeah.
Great.
So I mean,
We
maybe
are-
have both.
We are looking
Yeah.
at that option. It's not something that we have actually introduced. So this is one that has been introduced. Obviously, there will be more details and changes as the process goes along. But we are looking at different, whether it's a tax refund
It's more of an incentive to be able
or
to-
different incentives, I should say,
Yeah,
towards having people and the goal is to make it easier
right.
to have. And Carrie was on. We had a Zoom that we hosted around community hardening, and we had insurers on there, including Mercury, and something that the head of the chief operating officer or something like that of Mercury, the head of Mercury. He said when rates are approved and they start writing policies, they will be looking for home hardened structures to be the first ones that they write policies for.
Just to what you said, because some people think Ryan, it's a shame Zenon isn't here, but Ryan is a big component of the ISBA. So that's like the avant-garde, like unbelievably high standards. So a lot of people are intimidated by that. But what was interesting to me is this fellow, his name was Victor Joseph. From Mercury. He said, you know what? We don't actually require that high level of a standard. We just look for 7A, and you'll know this too.
Yeah.
7A standard level home. So if you look to that standard, the 7A in the fire department building code, that's good enough for them. Just a lot of homes aren't even up to that level, but that's or get covered by private insurers.
Right, and a lot of these home hardening things would help get you up to that code. But we have talked to a number of private insurers, and we hear that. And I know guarantee is a hard word, and that's something
I've been on those.
I'm speaking from the state senate office, of course, so I won't talk about the campaign. That's something I can't talk about actually. But from the state senate side, we're looking at different options that could, what are the legislative options, but something that should be included are risk reduction techniques, because the insurance companies will not come back unless there is some sort of risk reduction. So I totally hear you on that side, like how can we guarantee that? But I think we need to do both, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just things that I've been hearing for years. And all states said the same thing, and it'd be like, okay, here we are.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to, I know we can't play hardball, but I would say with Senator Allen, I'd like to see him play a little hardball, to think of ways he could do it that would incentivize not just incentive, but incentivize them, and how about a carrot and stick? The carrot, but you need the stick on the other end if they don't do it. Like they get some sort of a meaningful penalty or a restriction in what else they can do. Something really lucrative that they want to cover in the state, right? That they're writing policies, making money hand over fist. Well, you can't do that if you're not willing to also ensure that risk reduced. Oh,
Well, if you
Yeah, I hear you, and I think she has said
Yeah.
that if homeowners are going to invest and do these things,
Right.
there needs to be more accountability for the insurance companies to ensure that they are writing policies in these high risk areas. So
They also need to, I can't stress enough that how much better incentives like rebates work, all right?
Yeah.
And that requires you to put out money, whereas there's sometimes with these levels of who can qualify for the. First of all, they're usually 30 years of things like SBA loans, and they go on and on, and they get to your mortgage. But they're not enough in and of themselves. That loan is not usually enough in and of itself to do the job.
it's a barrier to entry that I think with
Yeah.
the rebates, it's like it doesn't, so you just get going and then get the rebate back, whereas with the loan, you gotta qualify to apply for the loan, qualify.
No, but
yeah, I mean, with the
that,
rebate, you wouldn't get the
limited.
full cost back.
Right,
either.
of course,
Yeah.
but some
yeah.
substantial chunk, like
Yeah.
I want the solar rebates back or fire earning, whatever, we need more rebates, we need to help with.
Well,
all-
the
I definitely
Yeah.
hear you.
Gonna do
I
that.
will take notes. I'll bring it back to our legislative team. Like I said, our package is not full, so I'll reiterate that this is something.
Rebate,
Yeah.
yeah.
Can't guarantee anything, but I can definitely share these. I'll talk about just some other insurance related things that we're thinking of that have not been fully introduced, but I know
Yeah, we
someone-
are, so
yeah.
we're a little low on time, so.
Okay, yeah.
it's about-
But I will-
Well, I'm interrupting, Carrie. I'm interrupting.
I'll be really quick because these have not been introduced. There were bills that we're thinking about and looking at. One is what's called a right to cure. So if there's a non-renewal or cancellation, you need to give the reason why and a time period to, make that change before they drop you. So that's one that we're heavily leaning towards and speaking with a lot of partners about. Another one about new development. This would only be for new big construction in very high risk fire zones. They need to get quotes from insurance companies. We're looking at either it's a permit, part of the permit process, or if they're going to sell, they need to show that that they can get admitted insurance carriers. This is just for new development. This would not be for rebuild. This would not be for existing homes, and it would mostly be for large scale developments in very high risk fire zones.
What is a large scale development?
So like a subdivision that if a developer wanted to build,
20 homes.
20 homes,
Well, now
right?
we have to-
And then they build it, right? But they're all on the FAIR plan.
Right.
But people don't know that. So right, we don't need more density in risky areas, especially if they can't get insurance on the admit market. So we're looking at different options around that. These are all ideas. So if people hate them, please let me know. I can bring that back if they like them. Again, I'll give you all my email. I'm happy to meet with all of you. Anyone about bill ideas, or if there are specific concerns, we can workshop them. We can bring in our legislative team who's writing and researching all these bills. And then I'll be coming back, so probably next month with more detailed, introduction.
I would also suggest that, I don't know, maybe on this research, but there in the unincorporated area, LA County, there are very strict requirements for building in terms of materials, turnarounds, everything you can imagine for fire prevention, fire response, safety, and those issues. There's also a lot of, in the planning and the zoning, a lot of constraints to protect the land use and protect the land. So those I think are unique in maybe some of the other jurisdictional regulations and how they're handling them at the local level. None of those building codes and requirements can weaken existing state codes, because that's how they all filter in. but it can strengthen them, and many local jurisdictions, including the county and its county planning documents and its building and safety documents and fire department's requirements. All of those are meshed together to be very highly regulatory in terms of how you build a hard home and what's required for safety. And also combine that with the protections of where you can build that home, not on top of a ridge line, but maybe down below you can build something, not putting more neighborhoods or more people and communities at risk.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's some way maybe you could let the department know they don't already have what our regulatory things are from the fire department in terms of requirements, so they're pretty,
Well, Drew, do you have a list for 7A? I mean, those are the standards.
I'd have to go to our fire prevention. I'll have to go to.
We just send them a link. I can provide it to people so they can have an idea of what they have to do to rebuild and meet these requirements.
because they're very high.
Yeah. So people know before they get in over their head.
And I can say that stuff that comes in, when it goes through the layers of the inspection process for approving the plans, we have found that the architect is who has that
Yeah.
vision, and they're really good at that.
Yeah.
They know that job really well.
They do.
So meaning that, would it have some appeal for somebody to see all that? It might be overwhelming when we hire her. They
No,
have that, and there's very minor tweaks.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things that we may go look at that come into play is the water, as Susan says, the access component, how steep the slope is on the percentage of grade. And then we actually go out there to, remember, we have the flexibility to meet the intent of the fire code. So just because it says one thing, doesn't mean we can't say, okay, we meet the intent of the fire, we're going to meet this, because you could have some significant access challenges. We may have a water issue for people on wells, or what does that look like, and how do we use that in lieu of what is the surety.
Right.
So we are very flexible and we do.
But I think that it's very important what size.
Here it does not.
Question, we want to make sure we open the question to Andrew. Don't worry about 7A. Some enterprising young individual they got it from AI. There you go.
Of course.
Pauline,
I'll be glad to provide with them.
thank you. Very good feedback. Pauline.
My question is, well, first of all, I'm excited to hear that there's some bills in regards to home hardening grants, whether it's loans or rebates. I think we need everything. Yeah. We have almost nothing now in terms of home hardening. And as Fire Safe Council, we try to help people with home hardening, and we run into a barrier where CAL FIRE, being the biggest grantor for wildfire mitigation, they don't allow for home hardening as a grant recipient task. Like, we can educate about it, but we can't actually help with it. So at a state level, I think us to actually get to where we need to be.
Yeah.
Is that something you guys are looking at, like changing also the CAL FIRE and take money it already had?
We have not, but I think it's something we can look into. So want to exchange information.
Excellent, Pauline. Love it. Okay. More questions?
Well, we just online, we had two questions. One is whether Ben Allen's office would consider regulation of private adjusters for licensing, because I guess some of them are running rogue.
It's the legislation that is sponsored by CDI. I don't know which one. It's one of the three that between the two of us that we shared that does do some better regulation of the adjusters, so you're not getting.
They're limiting the percentage they can take.
That's what it is. Yeah.
But there's also about the rotating adjusters, right? Like, I have Palisades constituents who are.
Well, I think they're talking
but
about
that's
public
different,
adjusters, they're talking about public adjusters who are signing people up, taking 15% of their check and running away.
So there are supposed to be. So there's fraud variants, so I would submit those in check.
Yeah, good.
So they should all.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then a second question, and this is more for Drew, but they were told that there's a controlled burn ban plan for Upland Park.
There is? And Raj, and what day is this gonna happen? I would like to know this.
I heard things.
I'm just checking with myself.
Well, Drew say no, so.
I don't know anything about that.
And that would be basically, if you don't know about it, it's not.
I definitely don't know about that.
Or that.
In the minutes.
Okay, any other questions?
Surrounding neighbors, he was making a record.
Yeah.
All right, oh my God, okay, holy smokes. All right, well, I'm gonna have a question if nobody else has a question, we don't want that. Not her either. Okay, no, just kidding. Okay, anybody else, seriously, don't be shy. I get up here and make a fool of myself. It's all.
What's the way to provide public comments or support to any of these measures or topics? Is that?
Yeah, as an organization, the Topanga Town Council can write letters of support and submit them to our office as, and then similar to like with the county, there's a process to upload public comment and give public comment during hearings. So happy to.
You can also go on the site and sign up for bill updates.
Yes, exactly.
And
Yeah.
they give you the.
They'll tell you when the hearing is.
Because everything, one of these has to go through a different committee before it even has a chance of going to the floor.
Yes,
So
it's a
yeah,
very
you
long
wanna
process.
Send that link so
Yeah.
that I can send it out to people, they can educate themselves. A lot of people like to follow that and track it one by one themselves. I mean, they're happy to hear from us, but they also like to do their own work and their own research.
Yeah, I mean, I found it kind of shocking that my insurance, said they were gonna cancel it, no explanation, no ability to remediate, and it was not, Max came in the gap for us. It's a little shocking to me that it's legal now for them to cancel you without giving you cause or any chance to remediate, and it's completely.
On pet insurance.
Well, it's your pet insurance. I
Yeah.
understand why that's not even.
Are you hearing that, Brenda? Like, what are you?
Yeah, well, and it has always been like that. It's not just happening. It has always been the case because at the end of the day, there are an entity, right? And so we can compel or force them to provide. And yeah.
There are some carriers that do actually give you 60 days to correct things, so it seems like it's
But like I
not
said,
voluntary.
Submit it.
Yeah.
Because
And
it's my
I-
understanding that was part of the SIF, that you had to give them 60 days, but I guess it's not as required.
I said that they're required to give you 90 days. Noted.
Well, they're definitely not doing that, but 60.
So let me confirm,
Okay.
because I know there was, let me get it.
They are
back up.
required to give you.
Yeah, they are required to give you
Yeah.
an ample notice. They can't just drop you overnight. You can't do that. They do have to give you ample notice. But let me get the exact.
I mean, they can try. Different.
But
try.
but
But
I,
again, just because they do it doesn't make it legal.
right, and they play this game where they'll give you the advance notice, and then you submit all the stuff they want, and then they rest on their laurels and get back to like 2 days before the end of the whole, you know what I mean? Like, they play different games.
Well, at least they're getting back.
Right, eventually, but like right before you have the ability to do everything, and I had all people did happening less now, where you get your bill like after it's due.
I was gonna say, is there any rule on that? Because Fair Plan, they used to have a grace period, and I would get notified as a broker, so I could reach out to my clients. Now, 12 p.m., if you didn't make that payment, you're dropped. But also, it's a weird thing because the clients are getting mailings that said issued one date, yet it's 3 weeks later.
Just
So
getting it.
how are those? It seems like they're setting people up for that.
Real game.
So, and I encourage you, like every person experiencing, you have to identify how much it is crucial that you submit.
I got like 300 for you.
All right,
And let's do it.
Maybe to make a point. It's not. I don't think she's just brushing us off. I mean, she might be, but that's not.
No, not at all. Not at all. And you're right, like
Include our office because
Yeah,
we can ensure
yeah. And keep
no
in
one
mind,
is getting brushed off.
Senator Allen is running for CBI commissioner, so he has all kinds of incentives to address these issues. So do.
It's
like
actually
I'm here.
Yeah, actually, CBI is here. CBI is here.
It's actually even worse than that because then the online portal doesn't sync up. And so they can't even go online to make the payment. And if they mail a check and they receive it, they're not going by post dates. But they make a day after, they're still.
You gotta pay a year in advance and then write me 2 months before the interval, so you don't.
Yeah, you have to be proactive
Yeah.
in your days, you have to get it before.
It's really that, like, extremely shady. All right, well, we're gonna switch on, but this is fantastic. You put all of your emails so people can contact you. Okay, so I will follow up.
Along with double.
Yeah, I'll follow up with you tomorrow.
Oh, I have great news then.
Good. Okay, then, yeah, okay, so let's talk after, but, let's go on to our county update. Okay.
Let me just say, since we're on the topic of insurance, something needs to be done about auto insurance. Because I moved down here from Palmdale like 4 years ago. My insurance went up by about $150 a month. Absolutely insane. So you take that back where it needs to get taken back. Daniel Vicente, Supervisor Lindsay Horvath's office. Let me go ahead and run through some of our updates that we have right now. With regards to what is relevant to Topanga, we just got done having 3 of our quarterly meetings. We have another one coming up. So I'm exhausted right now, but we got done having our Santa Monica Mountains Fire Safety Alliance meeting at our office. We had our Topanga Canyon Boulevard Roadside Committee meeting as well. And then today we had our the Topanga Emergency Management Task Force meeting as well. With regards to what the supervisor is doing right now, some of you may have seen it got all over the news and certainly got us a lot of attention from all over the country, from the nicest people you can imagine, about our ice-free zones that the supervisor introduced at the county level to bar ice from setting up shop at county-owned facilities. Contrary to what many of the very nice folks on Twitter have been trying to educate us on, we do have a right to do that. And we have done so with the advice of county council. So this is the county owns these facilities. They have a right to say who can be on their property or not. And so contrary to what the U.S. attorney for the area is saying as a mouthpiece for the administration, we do have a right to do that. So
That county facility is like this library.
yes, they cannot just come here and tell Ashley we're setting up shop and we're going to be here. You can't do that. So but that has gotten a lot of traction. So I do want to state that is the case. So county-owned facilities may not have ICE agents come and set up shop there to have staging locations or things like that. Get into a lot of specifics about if they're in the hot pursuit of someone, it gets into more of a legally gray area, so we won't touch on that. But as far as setting up, as far as setting up an operation there, they can't do that. And I'm really proud to work for someone who's been a leader in this space and who continues to speak up on behalf of our communities. By federal law enforcement. We do have, if any of you are interested, we have yet another emergency preparedness fair coming up that our office is doing. This one will be in the East San Fernando Valley and a little more focused on earthquakes rather than wildfires. And it's kind of fitting given that we just passed, what was it, the 20th? The 20th anniversary of the North Bridge?
Yeah.
20, yeah.
Not here.
25th? No, 30th. 30th. That's right. I'm like, I forgot that happened, I think, like 2 months after I was born. So, yeah, 30th anniversary. So it's really relevant right now to look back on that. So highly encourage you guys to check that out if you feel like making the trek out to the East Valley. We totally understand if not.
We have fires, floods, and earthquakes.
Exactly. So that's going to be at Valley Mission College. It will be 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on February. I wrote down the time, but not the date. I believe it's February 7th, if I'm not mistaken. So February 7th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Valley Mission College. Our grants application is open right now. So for any of you who have discretionary grant needs that you would like to apply for, that is open until January 1st. It will open again, if I'm not mistaken, in April. So now is your time to get those in. It will be reviewed by February 15th, and that is when you will hear a determination. That can be found on our website, lindsayhorvath.lacounty.gov, and just click on services and then request for funding. Our office has moved. You guys did have a town council meeting last month, so we have been moved for quite some time now. It's been almost 2 months, but we are just right across the street from the Lost Hill Sheriff Station now. So they have no excuses not to come to any meeting. You know, it's just cross the street. Or I guess we can go over there now. It's not a trek for either of us. So we are all in the same area now. Our one-stop center is right next door to us. So stop in and say hi if you're ever in the area. We are, if you want to write it down, if anyone wants to write it down, it's 27001 Agora Road, Suite 201 Agora Road, Suite 260, and the one-stop center is Suite 250. So they're just right next to us. That is pretty much all of the updates I have, and I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone here has any.
Try to hold your questions we have until we get through all of our.
Yes, I will limit you to 2 minutes. So 2 minutes for questions. Going once, going twice.
Okay. Anthony, is he on, just for you to see in Zoom?
Yes,
Oh, excellent. Let's make sure that he has a chance to update us.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Kinda.
And this is Anthony from Assemblywoman Irwin's office. But yeah, we're not hearing you yet, Anthony. This is
Okay. I'm putting my face to my microphone. Is it better?
It's our volume.
Maybe I'll take ours off. Yeah. But all right, Ash is gonna quiet us down and maybe that'll help. Turn it off.
Okay. Well, very briefly, yes, thank you for the introduction. Anthony Avila with Assemblymember Jackie Irwin's office. I just want to keep it very brief. Similarly, we are also finalizing our bill package, so I don't have much to share there, but I do want to thank Sophia and the representatives from the various insurance relevant agencies for all their updates. Obviously, fire recovery and adjacent issues are very important to the member and our legislative team. And so, in any way that we can be helpful, please feel free to include us on any correspondence moving forward. And then lastly, I do want to mention that I will be at the Palisades Recovery Coalition on the 28th doing mobile office hours, because I do realize that without the Palisades satellite office, Thousand Oaks office is a bit far. So I will leave my email in the chat box, and that would be it for me today. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. All right, Sophia, any other updates that you wanted to provide from Senator?
Sure, I'll provide two very brief ones. One that is not insurance related, but two bills that we are introducing are related to the Palisades mobile home parks and helping them rebuild. I know it's not directly related. It's related to Topanga because they're all part of the community. So we will be reintroducing our SB 749, which is a bill to help provide tenant rights to the Palisades mobile home park. And we're also working on other legislation to provide greater tenant protection in the case of natural disasters for this specific population.
That's really great because and make it so it's permanent and it never goes away. The
Yeah.
Stillmore fire, we lost, there were hundreds of the northeast part of town. And the whole place come down. And they spent years. You got the owner of the land and then you got the owner of the things.
Yeah.
It was a mess.
Completely. And I have good news that I know this might not be something that you all care about, but I know you drive PCH, so you probably have seen that Palisades Bowl has not been cleared.
Yes.
They're one of the few. We have finally worked, the city and I have finally worked with the owners, gotten them a contractor, gotten them the permit. They should be starting as soon as Friday or that start debris clearance. So that is a huge thing, especially because I know people had concerns about toxicity from that site. So we are very, very glad they are going to be doing debris clearance there.
Is that going to cause additional road closures?
Not with Caltrans. They will be, we have let them know that it'll be on the property. There will be trucks but, we have notified Caltrans to work with the contractor to ensure that there's no like traffic delays or issues when it comes to that. Yeah.
Because it's so well on the boulevard.
If there are, it's not a Caltrans problem, it's a contractor problem, so please let our office know, because that means we need to work with the contractor that's doing the debris clearance.
Properties.
This is the mobile home park.
Oh, where they haven't been able to do that.
Will they be bringing that debris through Topanga,
No.
or will they be going around?
I believe they'll be going.
No trucks coming through here.
Good, another good question.
No,
Okay,
I'll be going to Topanga.
Any other questions for Daniel?
No, everyone wants to.
Great work.
There's one more very, do you, have a high school internship program?
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah, we have a high school internship program. This is our second round. Applications are now open. It's on our website. It's a chance for high school students to gain knowledge about state government and volunteer and meet and learn about the legislative process. It runs from March to May. So if you have any high school students that might be interested in this program,
Is there a deadline? I did put a link to this actually in the newsletter, but is there a deadline for applying?
I believe, yes, I believe it's the beginning of February. I'll double check.
Okay.
They have to live in the district, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question.
What happened? Yes, please.
So Sophia and Anthony, if you're still on the Zoom meeting, which of your agencies should we contact when the Caltrans project on the boulevard shuts the road during rush hour? Do you have a line to them? Because it just seems to be this big entity that has to answer to nobody. Or, I mean, would your office, if we have people contact your office, would your office contact Caltrans or the governor's office and get someone to?
I mean, we're definitely in contact with Caltrans, and they're not supposed to be closing the road during rush hour. And I know I've seen emails between you and Caltrans that there's, that there is, different entities that I know it was maybe with DWP or something like that, but we're monitoring it, and, we have reiterated to them that they're not supposed to be doing any sort of during rush hour.
Okay, so Roger's gonna give us a quick road update, but I want you to know that focus next month will be all roads. So like the hour and a half feature we'll have a person. They're taking all the road questions, the hard questions, the tough questions. So Fran, next month we will put them on the spot. Roger's gonna give us an update for this month, and then I'm gonna submit it in the newsletter.
An answer to your question about who to be in touch with and contact, Katie Messick is the one person who we've been dealing with. Of course, she's PR, but she is the person who then takes our concerns out to the field and the people that are actually doing the work on the boulevard. So in reference to Caltrans. So we know that the road was shut down this past weekend, and the work is not completed yet. Here is a quick report on what's been done thus far. They excavated the road to approximately 16 feet below TCB to install an 84-inch reinforced concrete pipe. They did it in sections, which means that they're not finished. They're going to be doing more work there. I don't know when it's scheduled yet, because I just got this in reference to the report that was done. The crew encountered, they say, the crew encountered complex subsurface conditions, which included limited access near the LA County Department of Public Works water main. So basically what they're doing is they're putting this culvert, this gigantic culvert underneath the water line that runs north from the coast up. And they're not completed. I thought they were going to be done with it, but they're not. The installation of the remaining 52 feet of concrete pipe still has to be done. That means the road may or may not shut down again. I haven't got a report on that.
Like a
just yet.
weekend closure type.
We'll find out.
Possible, but we don't know yet.
Yeah.
But
The good news is or finishing a what they call a shotcrete stained railing at the retaining wall at post mile 2.7. So as you're driving up the canyon from the coast, you can see, if you're high up enough, you will see the retaining wall that is almost completed, and they've already done a surface on it as well. This is just really talking about what they've actually done, and I'm going to put this online, and also the town council will put it online as well.
he'll probably issue it first, so get on his list and we'll put it out in the newsletter. But I want to make sure that our fire safe council fully gets to speak about all the exciting stuff happening on that. Thank you, Roger.
Okay.
Hi everyone, so I'm Pauline with the Santa Monica Mountain.
Hello, I'm Pauline with the Santa Monica Mountain Fire Safe Council. Ryan with Topanga Fire Safe Council couldn't be here tonight, but he wants you all to know that he's still here. We're partnering on a bunch of I have a couple of slides up here where Topanga Fire Safe Council is mentioned as well. So just wanted to give you a rundown. We've got so many exciting things going on. We're still doing HIZ, and in fact, a large number of those are in Topanga. So keep signing up, keep finding out what you can do for home hardening. We also both want to pitch the community work days. We had a really successful one with the Glenview community. So look at your neighborhood network. Do you want to get together in a potluck style fun work day and get a bunch of risk reduction done at the same time? Yes, you do. Okay. Let me know, let Ryan know, we'll help you coordinate. The vent program that some of you are aware of is going really well. This is one of the things where, CAL FIRE won't fund this, but California Fire Safe Council is currently funding this. And so we have at least half of the applicants specifically for Topanga Sages. So currently people are getting by contractors, and the installation is being scheduled. So it's super exciting. Also in Palisades and Malibu, and hopefully in the future we can do more. So please stay tuned. Okay, next slide. Super duper exciting. This is our first ever community gathering. If you've ever heard of a climate cafe or a cafe style gathering, it's essentially a space to gather. It's not action oriented, it's not therapy, but it's a place that's a facilitated discussion. And so, 1 year after the fires, there's still a lot of feelings we have. Come together in a safe place and have a discussion. And so QR code right there is small, but it's also available on our website. And we have two options, one virtual and one at the Getty Villa. So sign up is required. Please RSVP if you want to be able to attend that, but everyone will be able to wander the museum and gardens afterwards. So I highly recommend that. Next. Go back.
Web 7 for the in-person.
So yes, the virtual one is the 29th, Thursday, and then February 7th is the in-person one. It's a Saturday. You have to sign yourself up. Sign up. And so in collaboration with TSAP and Topanga Safe Council, we'll be hosting a volunteer work day at the EOC. Give back to an organization that's been giving to the community. I don't know a better organization that's been here for the long run, giving us accurate information before, during, and after emergencies. And right now, they need a little extra help with space. So let's all come together and help out. It'll be fun because there'll be afterwards. Next slide. We won't get into it now, but there is a threat that will be here eventually. The gold spore. It is a nasty little bug that will kill all our oak trees. So providing is training for community members to learn how to identify them. And so there'll be 2 options for training and then an optional field trip to infested, and then we'll have 2 community survey days. So you are our best chance of protecting is early observation. And so this is it for all of us. Okay, so sign up. We're leading this and we're partnering with several.
Definitely, it's a little
Yes.
off topic. It's related, but.
Yeah. Want to share? Oh, I should have made this bigger font. My bad. So I think maybe November we had with the Entrada Encina Association where we collaborated on on Entrada. So modeled after that project where it's habitat defensible space, planting oak trees that will grow up to be a buffer for the community adjacent to state parks. And so we're receiving money specific for neighbors adjacent to state parks. You can do a group right of entry permit. We will be able to pay for that weed abatement. So
Resident there, Megan?
yes,
Okay.
yeah. So that was such a huge success. We're getting this grant.
You're gonna model
Very clear.
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
You know, it's a big deal for people who live near state park land. The state park does. And then you are deprived certain insurance discounts and safety.
Yeah.
You can't go like an efficient, cost-effective way to do it.
Yeah.
Quickly and
And then, yeah, so community, work with your neighbors. If you're interested, there's an interest. We'll be sending out more information as the program gets fleshed out. We'll call it or habitat restoration meets fire protection. And I think that's my 5 minutes. Yeah.
About oak reforestation. Are you involved in the reforestation? You know, the oaks that
I am not. We were just involved on Entrada.
Two of the property would be on the seniors.
Okay. Do you have any questions for Pauline? I know people can't say enough good things about her.
Is there any yet GSOB in Santa Monica?
Not that I know of, no.
Nothing.
But I mean, the depressing thing is that you talk to folks in San Diego that have been studying it and working with it, and it could be 10 years of it being in a forested area before you would really see signs. So, you know, look at all the trees every day.
No, I know.
It's not really off topic either.
No, I know.
Because of fire hydrant.
Yeah.
It's a controversial element to it. It's a little uncomfortable. There's a test every other year, and they're always saying the end's coming. Big a shovel door, and so I don't want to get into it now. But there is a lot of from meeting about this pest is going to take us down. This pest is going to watch for it. Treat it crazy.
Yeah, I totally agree. We don't want to, say doomsday, but looking at San Diego as a similar climate and where it was introduced, and we have a lot of lessons to be learned. What they've been dealing with the last 20 years.
I'll tie it back because it's excluded by your home. That's considered maintenance.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. No, but everything else, Pauline said I love. Just that GSOB stuff. All right. Long story short, any other final questions?
There's a question chat for a future meeting, but in light of the move towards sheltering in place, it's about fire brigade or defense of a sheltered community and circumstance and how we think that through and prepare for that possibility or probably, if you see what I'm saying.
I do see what you're saying.
That's a request for a future meeting to talk about how to actually.
That'll be some great conversation.
Good note to end on. Okay. All right. Well, with that, that's the end of the meeting. Thank you, everyone, for fantastic participation.